Hello everyone. Thank you all for watching the video and leaving meaningful comments. Wishing everyone good health and happiness. Early in the morning, as the first rays of dawn broke through, I woke up in the tranquil space of the mountains and forests. The chirping of birds echoed through the treetops, blending with the fresh scent of the earth after a night's rain. Stepping out of my small house, I took a deep breath to embrace the purity of the morning air. By the glowing wood stove, its flames crackling softly, I began preparing a simple yet cozy breakfast. Pots on the stove emitted the fragrant aroma of rice and forest vegetable soup. After finishing the meal, I brought food out to the yard for the chickens and my little dog who was playfully circling my feet. Their joyful antics made me burst into laughter. Once my morning chores were done, I decided to venture into the forest to gather fruits. The path leading into the woods was winding, covered in dry leaves, and dappled with sunlight filtering through the gaps in the foliage. Walking slowly, I listened to the babbling brook and the gentle rustle of wind through towering trees. While engrossed in searching for ripe fruits, I unexpectedly came across a man lying by the roadside. He looked very distressed, his face contorted with pain from an injury on his leg. I quickly ran over to check on him. The man said he had slipped while gathering firewood and couldn't stand up on his own. Without hesitation, I helped him sit up and examined his wound. Fortunately, it wasn't too serious, but he needed to be taken home to rest. Supporting him step by step along the narrow path out of the forest, we chatted a bit to distract from the fatigue. He shared that he lived in a nearby village and often ventured into the forest to collect firewood for a living. Upon reaching his home, I helped him inside and prepared a warm glass of water for him. He thanked me profusely, his eyes filled with gratitude that warmed my heart and brought me joy. Though it was just a small act in an ordinary day, helping someone reminded me of life's meaning in this peaceful mountain setting. After ensuring he was settled, I bid farewell and continued my journey through the lush green forest. After helping the injured man, I continued my journey deeper into the forest. The path became increasingly shaded by trees, with sunlight reduced to shimmering rays filtering through the leaves. The chirping of birds and the fragrance of wildflowers filled me with a sense of tranquility. I walked slowly, my eyes scanning for ripe fruits amid the pristine wilderness. While engrossed in observing my surroundings, I suddenly spotted a large papaya tree standing tall in a clearing. The tree was laden with fruit, its golden yellow papaya standing out vividly against the green foliage. I approached the tree, admiring the plump, ripe fruits, and decided to pick one to taste. Holding the papaya in my hands, I peeled off its skin and took a bite. The sweet, refreshing flavor spread through my mouth, delighting me. It was rare to find a papaya tree with so many fruits and such delicious taste. I immediately thought of picking more to sell at the market. With care and precision, I harvested each fruit, selecting those that were perfectly ripe to ensure quality. I then neatly packed them into a sack and tied it securely for easy transport. On my way back from the forest, I happened to meet an old neighbor who was crouched by the roadside gathering vegetables. She saw me and cheerfully called out, "It's been so long since we last met. What did you find in the forest today?" I stopped to chat with her under the cool shade of a tree. She shared stories about her daily life and asked me about my feelings for James, a man she knew I had a special affection for. Embarrassed, I admitted my fondness for James but also confessed my hesitation about taking the next step. Hearing this, my neighbor offered her advice. "James is a kind and sincere man. If you have feelings for him too, you should be brave and take a chance. Don't let the opportunity slip away." Her words gave me much to think about. Our conversation unfolded in a warm and friendly atmosphere, reminiscent of the days when we used to see each other often. After chatting for a while, I excused myself to continue my task of bringing the papayas to market. She smiled and wished me success in selling them before returning to her vegetable picking. Hoisting the sack of papayas onto my shoulder, I walked along the narrow path out of the forest, my mind filled with thoughts about her heartfelt advice. Under the radiant midday sun, James appeared on the hill where workers were diligently harvesting ginger and galangal. Dressed in a simple shirt and holding a notebook, he exuded an air of dedication and responsibility. From afar, he carefully observed the lush green rows of ginger and the freshly harvested galangal roots. The workers toiled hard, some digging the soil, others sorting the roots, creating a bustling scene of labor amidst the vast natural landscape. As he approached closer, James stopped by a group of workers to inspect the quality of the produce. Picking up a freshly unearthed ginger root, he turned it over in his hands and smiled with satisfaction. The firm, fresh ginger was the result of many days of hard work. He jotted down notes in his notebook and didn't forget to praise everyone. "Great job, everyone. The ginger and galangal this year are excellent." Beyond checking the produce, James also showed concern for the workers' well-being. He walked around to each group, asking about their health and reminding them to prioritize safety. "Be careful when using shovels. The soil here is quite hard, don't get injured," he said in a tone that was both serious and friendly. His attentiveness motivated everyone and made them work even more enthusiastically. After inspecting one area, James climbed to a higher point on the hill to get a panoramic view. From there, he could see the long rows of soil and the small figures of workers diligently laboring under the sun. He stood silently for a while, his gaze thoughtful as if calculating plans for the days ahead. For him, it wasn't just about harvesting but also about ensuring a better life for those working under his management. Before leaving, James gathered the workers to give some final instructions. He emphasized, "We're in the final stages of this harvest season. Let's push through just a little more. And remember, safety always comes first." His words were not only directive but also filled with genuine care, leaving everyone feeling encouraged and warm-hearted. As the sun began to set in the west, James left the hill to continue with other tasks for the day. His image amidst that simple yet vibrant labor scene remained deeply imprinted in the minds of the workers, a manager who was not only skilled but also compassionate and devoted. In the afternoon, as the sunlight softened, I sat at the small market with bright golden papayas neatly arranged on a bamboo tray. The market was bustling with people, the lively chatter of buyers and sellers blending with the aroma of fruits and food. I greeted customers with a warm smile, and the papayas sold quickly thanks to their sweetness and freshness. Before long, my tray was empty. I packed up my things and prepared to head home, feeling joyful after a successful day of selling. On my way back home, I walked along the familiar village road, flanked by lush green rice fields in their growing phase. Suddenly, from a distance, I saw James driving toward me. His car slowed as if he wanted to say something, but then he only glanced at me briefly before continuing to drive away. I stood still for a few seconds, feeling both surprised and disappointed, unsure why he left so abruptly. When I arrived home, I saw the man I had helped earlier that morning standing at my door. In his hands was a small box of carefully wrapped treats. He smiled kindly and said, "Thank you for helping me this morning. This is just a small gift to show my gratitude." I invited him inside for tea and a chat. During our conversation, he unexpectedly mentioned James. He described James as a kind-hearted, sincere man who was truly trustworthy. He encouraged me that if I had feelings for James, I should be brave and take the first step because genuine love is not always easy to find. As we were talking, I didn't notice that James had arrived at some point. It wasn't until I glanced out the window that I caught sight of him stepping into his car and driving away. A wave of confusion swept over me. I hurried outside and called his name, but his car had already disappeared down the winding road. The man sitting with me gently placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "Don't let your love slip away. If you truly care for him, go after him and tell him how you feel." His words felt like a wake-up call to my hesitant heart. Without further delay, I decided to run as fast as I could along the long village road to find James. Each step carried with it hope and determination not to lose someone I knew I loved deeply.